Hi, I'm Pat Sanaghan, and I'm the president of the Sanaghan Group, which is an organizational consulting firm that does a lot of work in higher education. We've worked in over 100 campuses over the last 25 years, mainly in the areas of strategic planning, change management, leadership transitions, and leadership development. And we've learned a lot from our clients. And in this video, I want to be able to share with you 5 powerful concepts that will enable you to be more effective in your leadership role at work. The first concept is something called the Rule of 4. And the Rule of 4 tells us that a group from 10 to about 40 people, 4 people will do 80% of the talking. Now just think about the implications of that. I didn't say the 4 smartest people would do most of the talking. It's the 4 most verbal people. If you have a group of 15 people, your job as a leader is to make sure you hear all the voices and get all the ideas from everybody in the room. That's going to be hard to do if the 4 people are dominant in their conversations. A lot of times people who are very verbal have a myth in their head that says if people have something to say, they'll say it. But that's not true. People who are thoughtful, shy, quiet, reserved, oftentimes won't fully participate in a group of 15 unless somehow you change the dynamic and allow their voice to be heard. So one simple strategy you can use if you have a meeting with 15 people in a couple of hours to deal with an institutional issue is to break the group into small groups of 5. In a group of 5, people who are shy, quiet, reserved will be more encouraged to participate more fully as opposed to a group of 15 or 16. 3 groups of 5, give them all the same task, give them 20 minutes to have a conversation and capture it on flip chart, and then make sure you report out their findings and outcomes. This way you'll have more participation in your meetings and people really feel engaged and participate. The second concept I want to share is the 20-60-20 model. And it's a very excellent way of looking at how organizations kind of function with their people, and more importantly, where leaders should spend most of their attention. The top 20% of the folks are what we call the land of the cheerleaders. And cheerleaders are folks that come to work every day. They're dedicated, motivated, ask what they can do to help, tend to be optimistic and positive. They're just good folks. In some organizations that can be 20, 30, or 40%. But the cheerleaders are a valued asset and a gift in an organization. On the other end of the spectrum, you've got the 20% who live in the land of the dinosaurs. And dinosaurs has nothing to do with age. It has to do with attitude. So I'll give you an example of a dinosaur. Let's say there's a guy named Bill, and I've heard that he just won $120 million in the Powerball lottery. I go up to him, and I say, "Wow, Bill, you must be pretty excited about that." And Bill's response is, "I have to pay taxes on that money." Get a picture? It's the land of cynics. And as a leader, what you've got to be very conscious of is where you spend your time, because many leaders spend too much time in the land of dinosaurs, which is not value added or going to change anything. As a leader, you've got to pay attention to that middle 60% and the top 20% and get them moving in the same direction. If you have 80 to 90% of your folks moving together in a positive direction, you'll have an outstanding organization. You don't block out the cynics or the dinosaurs. You always make sure there's opportunities for participation and inclusion. What you don't do is spend most of your time trying to make them happy or satisfied, because it ain't going to happen. A couple of notes around the dinosaurs. They tend to be smart, so when they do say some things, people pay attention. They also tend to speak truth to power, which is a very important thing for leaders to have in their discussions and dialogues. Another thing to note is oftentimes the dinosaurs used to be cheerleaders many years ago, and because of organizational complexity and politics and just the way things work, they kind of migrated to this darker space. Once again, be very conscious as a leader how you spend your time and where you spend your time. In this third concept, we're going to talk about high-performing teams. And as higher ed goes into a very complex and ambiguous future, the necessity for having really effective teams throughout the campus are going to become great. And there's a lot to pay attention to in teams. We want to highlight the 3 most essential buckets that you need to pay attention to as a leader as you create your teams, build your teams, and manage your teams. The first bucket is that the goals in the team have to be clear and shared. And that might sound kind of simple, but it's hard to do oftentimes. Everyone on the team has got to know what are we in service of, and everyone has to be on the same page. Let me give you an example that I just recently encountered on a campus where I interviewed one-on-one 9 different vice presidents at the institution. I came away at the end of the day doing some sense making and found that this group of 9 individuals basically had 3 very different pictures or visions or preferred futures that they were working towards. That's a problem. That president's going to have to make sure that those individuals are all on the same page, or there are going to be some difficulties ahead. So remember that the goals have to be clear and shared. The second element is roles. Basically, who does what. Everyone's got to understand what people's responsibilities are and what their contribution or gift is. If everyone understands that, they can do 2 things. They can support each other in making those contributions realized, and they can also hold each other accountable. So clarity around roles is really important. The third one is communication. And one of the things we know powerfully about high-performing teams is their communication is very honest, very timely, very robust, and very transparent. There are no secrets. So when you look at the 3 elements, goals, roles, and communication, those 3 things need to be paid attention to continually if you're going to have a high-performing team.